So a gold out night for the Hawkeyes, wearing the gold uniforms here at the Iowa Soccer Complex. And here we go. Start of the second to last weekend in the Big Ten. Top 8 teams getting into the tournament. So this is an absolutely crucial match for Iowa and Purdue to try to get 3 points tonight. It's been over a month for both since they got that 3-point result. It was mid-September for Iowa. And off her line, it's Kaylee Kimball who gets the start in goal tonight. Well, and that's also worth pointing out in the starting 11 we just saw. It was between Kimball and Tompkins getting the start tonight.
Yeah, and Kimball has been a great kind of fresh start for Purdue in goal. They're really excited about her as the true freshman coming in. Not a lot of experience, but she's already made big strides early this season. So I know Coach Drew Roth is excited to see what she can do with more experience, and especially this offseason approaching.
And she could be good in this matchup for Purdue. She's long, and Iowa coming off of restarts. That was a concern for Purdue.
Yes, Iowa plays a really direct game. They play a lot of long balls, and we saw it there early. Kimball already having to come well off her line, and I think that'll be a big question mark is, can she be really decisive? Can she get out and kind of make the plays that she needs to make on whether it's a long ball or a cross like we might see here? Although it looks like Purdue will cut that off. But definitely they need her to be decisive, and that can be hard in a freshman role. So she has done a lot better in being vocal and being that leader between the pipes, but needs to continue to grow.
We saw Samantha Carey on that run for Iowa. Get used to seeing that. She's not afraid to go all the way up the flank from left back.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to figure out where Samantha Carey is playing because she's back, she's forward, she's right, she's left, but she really excels in that left back role, and she's all over the place. She's, easily one of Iowa's best players, if not best player on the pitch.
Here, there, and everywhere. Sam Carey. Yeah, sometimes you watch film of Iowa and you think she's playing left mid. Here's Maggie Johnston going against one of those new outside backs, Kelsey Carrico, and that's out for a goal kick. So Carrico and Olivia Hall, the new outside backs for Purdue, getting the start tonight. Looking for a little bit more of a true defensive mentality, maybe less pushing up the wings like we saw with Samantha Carey, but they can win balls one-on-one.
Yeah, Drew Roth talked about those two players' ability to win balls, like you said, one-on-one. They're tough defenders. They're not going to get, kind of caught off. And Purdue has really struggled to form defensive identity this season, in part due to injuries and in part just some young players trying to work in a formation and figure out what works for their system. So interesting to see yet another four backs, new 4-back for them. But I'm excited to see what Carrico and Hall can do in the back line.
Of course, injuries have played a part of it for Purdue in the back. Going with Cavazia and Blount at that center back position, but it's really a bind for Drew Roth. He was talking about it this week that we're giving up a lot of goals. We're not scoring a lot of goals. His philosophy is, let's put a lot of attention on our goal scoring activity and training and try to shore that up more than the defense.
Yeah, and I mean, as a forward, I can appreciate that. We love to score goals. So he really wants to focus on not sitting back, not kind of playing comfortable or safe, but kind of keeping their mentality and getting in front of goal. So I loved that from Drew Roth. I think that's a really good approach to take. And if you can be confident up front, hopefully that filters down through your back line as well.
If I were sitting next to a defender right now, they'd be saying, what about us? You're forgetting about us.
But you're not. So we just got to go with the forward take for tonight.
True. Know your personnel. Know who you're sitting next to. But it's twofold for Purdue because Drew Roth made the point, if we have more attacking opportunities, that's less work for the back line. Ball's in our defensive third less. And a shot from Ryberg, and it's deflected. Dean, Jackie, thank you. With Lauren Link, Connor Onion, and Iowa City. Brisk night at the Iowa Soccer Complex. 45 degrees with 2 weeks left in the Big Ten. And a match that both really need to have. Purdue and Iowa both outside the bubble of getting into the Big Ten tournament. So 3 points, huge tonight. Both coaches calling this a huge match.
Yeah, and this, I mean, it always happens, right? Late Big Ten season, every match carries just a little bit more weight. And for these two teams, they can't afford to lose at this point. Every game matters, and probably their only chance to get in the tournament would be to pull out at least a few wins in these last 4.
You're probably targeting at least 3 out of 4 to get in. Iowa is 4 points out with 4 games to go, trying to get into the top 8. And Purdue just 1 point. They're 6 out with 4 to go. And there's Dave Diani, of course, led the Hawkeyes to a Big Ten championship 2 years ago in the spring of 2021.
What a cool story that was. I don't think anyone could have predicted that. COVID year, everybody gets into the tournament, unlike normal cases where the top 8 get in, and they get in as a bottom seed, win the whole thing, knock off the top-ranked teams. I mean, just such a cool story.
Doing it with such good defense, too. And without Sam Carey for the final third of that championship match a couple years ago, who's still with the team, playing left back, starting for the Hawkeyes tonight. We opened up getting joined here talking about the standings, and Dave Diani, we get on our call yesterday and start with the normal pleasantries of, hey, how you doing? And he just goes, well, you've seen where we're at in the standings right now. I think you know how I'm doing.
Yeah, both coaches able to laugh about it a little bit, but also recognize the seriousness that goes into this time of year.
Sydney Duarte on the ball with Emily Matthews getting a touch, playing toward the corner flag. And across, swung in, and on the back post, Purdue with their best chance in the opening 7 minutes. It was Kayla Budish, one of the top freshmen in the Big Ten, with a little chance there on the back post.
Yeah, and Kayla Budish is such a fun player to watch. She's speedy, and I love here that we're going through the big players for Purdue. Gracie Dunaway serves it up. Kayla Budish makes the far post run, and that's a hard ball to reel in. I would have liked to see her maybe try to go with her head even. It's easier said than done when you're watching from our point of view, but I love the work Purdue did to get that chance on the flank, and that's where they're good. They've got speed on both the flanks, and to find Emily Matthews' feet, find Dunaway, and find that runner. Really good stuff from Purdue early.
I'm with you. I was thinking maybe a header there, maybe even let that come across the body, go to the left foot.
Again, easier said than done. I think the angle would have been really hard there for the left foot because she was already pretty wide, but usually easier to bring something down and to keep it down with your head.
So first early chance for Purdue with Budish, who has 2 goals on the season. And this is out in the attacking third for Iowa for the throw. If you did just join us, weren't with us off of the top, these are 2 goal-starved teams trying to work their way into the Big Ten tournament picture. And Purdue coming off a heartbreaking loss against Illinois. They lost 2-1 to close out a 3-match homestand. Iowa lost 1-0 on Sunday at Minnesota. Sydney Duarte trying to build up for Purdue. A step inside Carey, but Riley Fetty in there on a strong challenge, and she gets it out sliding, but at the feet of Matthews. Dunaway down for Purdue, with Ryberg cutting it out of there for Iowa.
And it looked like the ref was maybe going to just let that play to Purdue's advantage and maybe then call it dead, but that did not end up being the case. Let that play on.
2 players we featured in the Open coming together in this area. It was Fetty and Dunaway together, and then Ryberg right behind.
Yeah, and it looks maybe worse in the flow of play, but I think that's a right no call there. Just runs through the leg, and that's a good tackle by Fetty. So luckily, Gracie Dunaway up and running, and that's the right call there, or rather, lack of call.
The official said play on for Dunaway, the leader in goals for Purdue. More of a creator last year, but Dunaway has been more of a target in goal-scoring chances this year for the Boilermakers.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I don't know that anyone necessarily expected her to step into that role. You know, she was so good at feeding the ball into her teammates, led the team in assists, like you said, and got a couple goals early. And she really is just kind of a go player. She'll run through anything. She's fast, and she's had some beautiful goals and some just kind of hard work effort goals.
Well, Boot is showing off the speed with the long touch, but battling with the captain, Sarah Wheaton. And it's out for a Purdue kick.
Yeah, and this is a nice job by Wheaton. Bootish is quick, and I thought she might just get that touch around her, but good job by Wheaton to get the touch, to at least keep the play, live to fight another day on this corner kick.
All right, Lauren, here is a big area of emphasis for Iowa, defending corners. They're changing how they're defending corners this week after the one goal they gave up against Minnesota was off this spot right here. The ball swings in right at the 6, heads on it, but Carey gets it away. So the first test for Iowa, they pass.
They pass that one. And this is a good ball in by Dunaway, swinging into the 6. And Purdue has a lot of people right there, but a nice job by Iowa to clear. What they really need to avoid is that kind of bobbling in the box, multiple touches in the box. The goal they gave up against Minnesota, they had multiple kind of bang touches inside the box, and that's dangerous no matter the situation.
Oh, we'll get another restart. I was just getting ready to say, Lauren, the restarts are so interesting in this game because Purdue against Illinois, they were the better team in run of play, or so they felt, and Iowa felt the same for a big chunk of the game against Minnesota.
Yeah, and it was interesting to hear Iowa's coach, Dave Diani, talk about how many goals they've given up on restarts.
Another one here sent in by Matthews and punched out and recovered by the keeper, Macy Enneking.
Nice job there by Enneking to get a hold of that. But yeah, to give only 3 goals for Iowa have been given up in the run of play. All the other goals have been in a set piece defensive standpoint.
This was Enneking. Punched it to herself.
Yeah, in the first instance there, I kind of wish she would have scooped it up, but I can see there now she was pretty outstretched. That can be really hard to hold on to, and if she doesn't hold on to that ball and gives that second chance, super dangerous situation. So I actually like the punch there. I'm sure she wishes she would have gotten a little bit more oomph on it, but manages to collect the second chance.
Yeah, gold all around her too. Ready to head it out if need be. I want to go back to your point, Lauren. The 11 goals allowed on restarts for Iowa. They've allowed 14 goals total this year, so 3 goals in the run of play. That is a very, very small number.
It really is, and it's something to hang your hat on in one way. You know, you're playing really well in the run of play and not giving up a lot of goals in that sense, but I mean, an obvious point of emphasis on what to improve and is that defense on set pieces. And that's something that, like you mentioned, they worked on this week and kind of changed their formation or their plan there. So it'll be interesting to see if it pans out.
Cavazia got a touch on it, out for a corner kick. So we're seeing a flurry of set pieces and restarts to begin it, just as we hoped, right?
That's right. And this looks similar to Budish running onto the ball. In this case, Hallinan running onto the ball. Cavazia just gets there in time, so nice defensive play by her. But I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of this. Back and forth, 2 really direct teams. And it might, just as we've mentioned, come down to who can defend these set pieces the best.
A rugged Big Ten style, perfect for a 45-degree night.
Would expect nothing else.
A lofted ball in from Carey, and Kimball using that length. At 6'2" to sky over the top. Yeah, it is into that time of the year. You can start seeing your breath. Air gets a little bit thicker. Lungs burn a little bit more.
My first thought when both teams ran out was they look kind of cold. We've got some long sleeve jerseys on. We can see the breath. I remember those days. And I honestly don't know if I've ever played at Iowa when it was nice out.
Oh, you were talking about one of your best, worst memories at Iowa where it's 33 degrees and sleeting sideways.
Terrible. One of the worst games I think I've ever been a part of. So cold. We were soaking wet. We lost the game. I mean, really nothing good happened that night.
You were waiting to sub in and ran, what, like 9 miles up and down the touchline?
at some point you just stop feeling your feet and you think, all right, I'm packing it in. I'm probably not getting the playing time I thought I might. So if anything, I'm going to just get a few jogs in on the sideline.
Sounded like you were contemplating early graduation that night. This is whisked away. Hallinan again, who had that run a few minutes ago and gets one off at the left, but wide of the target.
It's interesting. I don't know if the field is slick out there. A rare miss from Sydney Duarte that allows Hallinan to take this chance here. Not on frame, but expect to see more shots from Hallinan. Coach Diani talked about it, and I saw, I called their game against Minnesota on Sunday. Hallinan is getting really good looks. And sometimes as a forward, I can speak from experience. If you miss a couple that you feel like you shouldn't have, it builds on itself a little bit. And then you start overthinking a little bit. And you have to wonder if that's happened with Hallinan a little bit, because she's had a lot of really good chances and just unfortunately hasn't finished as many as she would like to, for sure. And same with Coach Diani. Would love to see her finish some of those balls.
Here's an unofficial stat for you, straight from the desk of Dave Diani, Iowa's coach. He says that Hallinan and Otto lead the Big Ten in goals that should have been. So they've definitely had the chances, like you're talking about. Hallinan with an early one. It'll be a goal kick for Macy Enneking. Well, part of why Iowa has some optimism, despite being outside of the Big Ten top 8 right now and being in the tournament, is they got Enneking back against Minnesota. Played the first 2 matches, but broke her nose and was out for 11 games, but they got her back on Sunday.
Yeah, and Coach Gianni talks about when Enneking's in goal, the team just plays better. We win when she's in goal, and he really credited that to her feet. They have multiple great goalkeepers on that team, but Enneking's ability to play out of the back, find her teammates with her feet, and kind of just control the ball, be that field general, is what he really lends that ability up to.
Like Carey, she can knock the ball around. And Otto inside the box. And it's Kimball off a little bit of a missed touch, but a good challenge from Carrico, that new left back.
Yeah, good job there by Carrico. Little bit physical, but I like that the refs letting him play. And you can see Purdue has to do a better job out of the air here. This is a dangerous chance. And again, lucky there that couldn't, have gone the other way because Carrico was just a little bit late. Purdue has to win that first ball out of the air on the back line.
The forward in you was thinking penalty kick, wasn't it?
A little bit. I would have definitely been trying to sell that a little bit. For what it's worth, though, I think it's the right no call. That would have been a hard call to make, for a penalty, a game-changing kind of call like that.
Next time we come on camera, I'm going to introduce you as with the flopper, Lauren Link.
All right.
Center of the park for Iowa, and Budish back in support defensively. Mostly been known for her attacking, but in support here. And served back into the box. Iowa gets another head on it, but Kevazia is there to play it out. Not fully cleared out of there, and Dunaway tucks back in and steers it clear for Purdue. You saw Budish and Dunaway, 2 of the top goal-scoring threats, back in support. And now it's space for Budish. Taking on Wheaton again, and trying to get a rip-off. And from quite some distance, about 30 yards out, trying to take that shot.
Yeah, maybe a little hopeful there. I love the goal-scoring mentality from Budish, but that's really hard to do, and you have to keep in mind that she just made a run from the other side of the field.
A quick counter the other way for Iowa with Maggie Johnston. Tough angle, but cuts back inside and gets a shot on Kimball, and it's saved.
This is going to be a game of transitions and counterattacks, and we see it here. The long ball in, Purdue's stretched, and it lets Maggie Johnston be able to make this run. Nice cut back there by her. Unfortunately, can't finesse there with the left foot. Nice job by Kimball to scoop it up. But like I said, I think we're going to see a lot of these kinds of chances. And what may be the key for the winning team, whoever comes out of this on top, is stamina. And what kind of subs can you bring off the bench? Because like I said, a lot of runs. Our forwards on both teams are helping the defense. And a lot of runs in.
Oh, beautiful back heel flick by Holler. Budish Budish taking on 2. Curls it in! What a run for Budish! Off of the back heel flip from Gabby Holler, and it's 1-0 Purdue.
This is so good, Connor. Budish gets the first touch, heads it on to Holler, makes her own run on, and I love the immediate touch inward. She's got the advantage here. Iowa's defense catches up, but Budish cuts back and just buries that ball where Anakin can't touch it. That's the kind of attack that we've known Budish is capable of all season, and we're finally seeing it now. She's got to feel really good about that.
Oh, bending it inside that back post, too. Oh, a lot of good there from Purdue. Remember, that was their mentality this week. Their philosophy was, it's not going well in either of the final thirds. Let's get around goal more in training, and it helped here.
Yes, and this is such a pretty ball. Just bends it in, and Enneking was there. It's a good effort by Enneking, but she just can't quite get to that ball, and you're not going to see a prettier shot, especially on a run like that from Kayla Budish.
Budish at the top of the box laying off. And another shot on Enneking. And Iowa survives it. So the Purdue bench saying the train is back on the tracks.
Train is here. I love it.
Purdue fell behind very early against Illinois. It was about 30 seconds in before they equalized. There was a penalty kick that allowed Illinois in the 59th minute to go on and win 2-1 to close out that 3-game homestand for Purdue. This time the Boilers up early.
Yeah, a goal a minute in, that's crushing when you start a game like that and before you can even really find a groove to fall behind like that. So credit to Purdue last game against Illinois to come back at first, right, to get that equalizer goal. That can be hard in itself, but like you mentioned, just couldn't find the second goal and fell behind.
For Budish, her third of the year, remember they came in short time when she got her first 2. Bunched them together. Cavazia heads out, but not cleared yet. And Blount flicks it away. Budish in short time, within a couple of weeks' time, Notre Dame and Wisconsin scored for Purdue. Gets her third against Iowa tonight.
I have a feeling we could see a lot more Budish goals, in the years to come. I know Coach Drew Roth thinks she could be one of the most prolific scorers in the history of the program if she can get going, and that's saying a lot because they've had some big goal scorers.
You may have heard of Sarah Griffith before.
Once or twice.
Just graduated, now at the Chicago Red Stars, playing professionally. Budish and Griffith actually got to meet a couple of weeks ago at Northwestern, with Griffith playing in Chicago, came to the Northwestern game in Evanston. So you got old guard, new guard coming together, and Drew Roth says he wants to sit those two down at some point and talk about their finishing.
Yeah, and it's really cool. I know the Purdue team has often traveled up for some of Sarah Griffith's games as, the whole team or small groups of the team. So pretty cool for not only Sarah Griffith to be in her hometown playing professionally, but also close enough to be able to get back to some games and see her former teammates and have those former teammates come support her.
Griffith, one of the best to ever do it at Purdue. Last year, banner season. Helped Purdue get to the second round of the tournament. It's the center back for Iowa, Formanek. And with Carey, one of the most veteran players in the Big Ten, getting trampled. And out for the Iowa throw. She tussled up there with Dunaway.
And one stat we haven't talked about yet is that Iowa leads the league in fouls. And we've seen it here a little bit tonight. They're a physical team for sure. But I can tell you the Big Ten is a physical league. So at least from my perspective as a former player, I kind of expect nothing less. It's a physical league, and a lot of Big Ten players take a little bit of pride in that. Want the refs to let you play, get physical, obviously nothing dirty, but physical play, I think, is part of kind of the identity of the Big Ten.
And some desperation in the big picture for Iowa to try to push into that top 8, giving up a goal pretty much in the same spot that they did against Minnesota on Sunday, mid-first half, playing behind 1-0 again.
Yeah, and it's interesting because that goal was not on a set piece. So to the point earlier, we talked about counterattacks. I do think that will be really key in this game. It's a fast-paced game, and we've seen both teams have some chances off of counters so far. So despite talking about set pieces a lot, we might actually see counters play more into the success of one team or another.
Well, there was a lot of mirroring language between Dave Diani, the Iowa head coach, Andrew Roth, the Purdue head coach, not only with what this match means. Hold that thought for a second. Otto inside the box, but nobody in support. And it's Carrico out with it. Now, the term that was reiterated the most, to your point, Lauren, about counterattacks and finishing a little bit better, the word risk. I think if we had the stenographer out on that, we could have Command F like 25 different times that was used on our calls this week.
No question. And talk about risk here. Otto, great run. I would have loved to see her just one touch that. I know, again, easier said than done. We've said that a couple times tonight. But that's such a good run. She catches Purdue's back line off a little bit, and that second touch just ate her up.
Good season for Otto as a sophomore coming from Michigan, tied for the team lead in goals. There's not that real definitive headlining goal scorer for Iowa. They have Otto and then 2 others, including Haley Ryberg, that have 3 goals. So there's not a lot of separation as far as a true target.
There's not, and we haven't talked a lot about Iowa's injuries. You know, we talked about Enneking being back, but we haven't talked about the scorers for Iowa have had a lot of injuries, and out their top 2 scorers, and it's shown, right? And it can be hard when you've got some of those leaders on a team and scorers on a team. When they're gone, somebody has to step up, and so far for Iowa, that really hasn't happened.
Kendall Anderson, the big one this year. Flag goes up, but last year they lost Alyssa Walker, Courtney Powell, 2 of their top goal scorers up there too. So while they've tried to find that next big goal scorer, the ones that they thought they had have been out and injured.
Yeah, and that's difficult. It's so hard to make personnel changes anyways, and then especially when you're dealing with multiple.
Here's Budish in on goal again, but misses the frame.
You can tell she wants that one back. Couple good touches, sets herself up, buys herself some space, and just shanks it a little bit there with the left foot, and you can see the immediate disappointment. She's going to be seeing that one tonight when she closes her eyes.
A waking feeling when you have that look. That was more straight on than the first look she had.
It was a much more open look. And sometimes soccer is like that. It can be a crushing sport at times.
Said with a deep sigh. This in, and an easy chance for Kimball. Well, hey, Sunday, stream Women's Soccer Live on the Big Ten Plus app. It's the Hawkeyes celebrating Senior Day against Nebraska. There is no plus like home. Download the Big Ten Plus app and subscribe right now. You can pick up 3 points here tonight if you're Iowa. Got to do it in comeback fashion, but if you can do that, you get Nebraska sitting in 5th inside that tournament bubble right now. It can swing pretty quickly, but as we open the show with tonight, it's got to happen right now.
Yes, and we're in that kind of critical time frame where this game, the next game, if you don't really get the momentum going now, you can pretty easily kind of fall off that cliff and get buried in that bottom 6, so, or 5 or 6, excuse me. So it definitely, I mean, we can't stress it enough. This game is so important for the future of this season for both teams.
Purdue is looking for their first 3 points in 39 days. Kansas State was the last time that they came out and won. That was on September 4th. Iowa's 4 points out of the Big Ten tournament with 4 to go, including tonight. 4 games to go, including tonight. Here's Ryberg, splitting a couple defenders, but cleared out for the moment. Back in at the feet of Hallinan. Johnson had that cutback chance earlier. Service in and headed out. Kevazia out to Haller, who had the great setup for Budish.
Purdue's doing a nice job right now, possessing, finding feet. That's something that they've been a little bit hot or cold with so far this season, and they've had most success when they do find each other's feet, when they play through their midfield. Emily Matthews, one of their key players, a captain for the Boilermakers, she's too important to not make sure she's getting touches on the ball, and everything flows a little bit better when it's going through Duarte and Matthews in the middle.
Well, we almost, Lauren, on that last ball that went out near Gracie Dunaway along the right flank there, we almost saw a situation that Iowa was most concerned about play out. Wide player and then runners in behind, but Dunaway couldn't get a touch.
Exactly. And yeah, Purdue's carrying out their game plan so far to a T. I think if you're Drew Roth, you have to feel pretty good about that. They're pulling their forwards high. They're making Iowa spread that back three. And we talked about a three back can be kind of dangerous if you get caught, and they've gotten caught a couple times. So Purdue doing a nice job with their scheme so far up top.
A dangerous challenge from Abby Roy. So let's get the verbal warning. No booking.
And that's Josie Durr for Iowa. She's been a little bit quiet so far tonight, but had a great game against Minnesota and a really fun player to watch. Has that engine just kind of never stops and could be really important in terms of creating some Iowa offense.
Her against Matthews matched up 1v1. Should be fun at times tonight.
Definitely.
Sam Carey steps over. And playing wide to Carey, swings it in, and Kimball up high again.
A lot of strategy went into setting up that set piece, and they wanted to serve that ball in from Carey, and she's so good at the service, you know, both with her right and left foot, but especially with that left foot, and Purdue was ready for it.
A natural left-footed player, mainstay at the left back spot. Really a perfect fit positionally.
Truly, she is just kind of your ultimate left back, and they've talked about she'll be their next draft pick. She's definitely wants to play professionally, and Coach Diani thinks she'll have a long career doing that.
Does have one more year of eligibility left for Iowa. We'll see if she takes it. One of the few players that Dave Diani might have to convince to come back because of pro careers on the horizon. And Duarte laid it off, and nobody running through. Budish was arriving late, and Enneking sweeps it up.
Iowa trying to, again, catch Purdue on the counter there. Playing that really direct style. Nice job there by Carrico, but I mentioned stamina coming into play here, and it seems, you know, like Budish has made a couple big runs, and they keep asking her to do that, and it'll be interesting to see if substitutions play into this, because I do feel like both teams are a little bit winded at times.
It's gone up and down in this first half. Hallinan cuts it to the outside, got a ball in, and it's out for an Iowa corner kick.
It's time for another corner kick.
That didn't happen on the last corner kick, right? That music?
I think I would have remembered that music.
Definitely not.
But it's getting me kind of hyped for this corner kick, so.
Over there, fist bumping. Sam Carey set to send it in. She'll have Josie Durr short in support as well. And to the front post and off of that front post. So next song on the playlist, next corner kick. 20th minute, a beautiful combination from Holler to Budish, who bent it in inside that far post.
Yeah, it's a beautiful touch there with her right foot. Puts it just out of reach of Anna King's hands. And beautiful goal for Kayla Budish, who needed that goal, Purdue, who needed that goal. So they've got to feel good about the kind of momentum they've created early in this first half.
3-2-1 when they score first. All 3 of their wins are when they've tallied first. Of course, one of the more memorable ones was the first match of the year against USC when they scored first, they scored second, and they scored third.
Yeah, such a fun game for Purdue. Season opener, record crowd, over 3,000 people in attendance. And Purdue looked great in that game. They really not only pulled out the win, but did so decisively. And they've really kind of lacked that driving, kind of force with the scoring since that game. And I know Drew Ruff has talked about that a lot. Came out really hot and kept trying to find that same spark and have just really been a little bit hit or miss the rest of the season.
They've only scored first once and gotten a result once in Big Ten play. That was against Nebraska. Took them until the 73rd minute when Gracie Dunaway scored. So that was their one Big Ten result that they got when scoring first. Those other 3 wins in non-conference.
And we did see a couple subs come in on the Purdue side, at least Chloe Wood back in and Natalie Splitorf. And sorry, I said Natalie, but Naomi. Too many names for a Thursday.
Easier on a Friday?
We'll go with that.
Big Ten needs to go back to the Friday, Sunday scheduling. Splitorf up there. Another corner for Iowa. So they're third of this first half.
It's time.
Back to the tracks. On the corner kick.
Somebody at Iowa stole my iPod.
Yeah, this is all like mid-2000s hip-hop and R&B.
I think so. And I just dated myself by saying iPod, but...
What was it, a shuffle? Not even a screen? Carey gets more loft on this one. And there's Splitorf trying to clear, but punched back in. And Carey on the volley. Shanks it to the other side of the box. And a rip on Kimball, but she has it covered on the front post. Sarah Wheaton. Everybody a little bit out of position. She was coming all the way from right back to that left flank that time.
Yeah, and I love that strike from Wheaton. Kind of catches Purdue off guard a little bit. And Purdue has to do a better job of quick clearances. In that case, great initial header, but Splitorf takes the extra touch and sets up that second chance for Iowa. So need quick balls out of the back and try to connect with teammates.
That was one of the subs for the Hawkeyes that came in. Emma Kozicki winning the throw-in. You mentioned the stamina with the direct style and sometimes the rugged style. For Iowa, for most of Big Ten, it's been 6 or 7 subs, but for short bursts. Not anybody that's going to come in and play like 60 minutes or 65 minutes, but some of their top subs in for 25 to 30. Hey, coming up on Sunday, don't miss a top 10 field hockey clash when the Hawkeyes square off with the Wolverines. Coverage begins Sunday at noon Eastern on Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. Final few minutes into the 39th minute here in Iowa City. Final few minutes of this first half. 20th minute goal from Kayla Budish. Her third goal of the season has Purdue in front. Both teams looking for their first 3-point result of Big Ten play. Hawkeyes last registered 3 points against Northern Iowa on September 11th. It was September 4th for Purdue against Kansas State.
And both coaches talked about just the importance of staying positive and trying to keep their team in it, right? Because that's hard when you haven't won for a long time. It can be easy to get a little bit down and lose that mentality that they started out the season with. So both coaches talked about how they've kept their teams' heads in the game, in practice, and so far both teams have had really good chances. So they've got to feel good about coming past that initial maybe disappointment after the last weekend's game.
It was right around the time you asked that question to Dave Diana yesterday, the Iowa head coach, that the call got interrupted for just a second, and somebody was walking through the background of the call. It turned out it was Riley Fetty, central midfielder, who was trying to tiptoe around the call that coach was on because she was in the facility watching film. Splittorff gets a rip off with the left foot, and it's high. And it'll be a goal kick for Iowa. But I thought that was representative. That wasn't, I don't think that was planned or plotted just for that representation, but that gave you a good idea about Riley Fetty and Iowa. It's still feeling they have a lot to play for.
Absolutely, and I couldn't agree more. It seems like both teams, we saw examples in talking to the coaches about whether it was younger players or captains, but just stepping up and saying, like, we're not done yet. We still are in this thing, and we have a lot to play for.
Well defended by Josie Durr, but given away right away.
And it looks like a couple more subs snuck in on the Purdue side. Sydney Hunt and Hannah Lapierre also in the game, and Sydney Boudreau making the run. A lot of Sydneys running around.
You got 3 on Purdue's roster. All 3 of those subs do have some starting experience for Purdue. And hand is up. And that'll be a handball inside the box.
Yeah, so here's the strike from Emily Matthews. It's a great strike, and it's the right call. I know that's blurry, but looks like the right call. The hand comes up, and especially in the blocks, you're blocking the shot attempt there. That's going to be a yellow every time.
Formanek put that hand up and looked like she was trying to get it out of the way at the last second, but definitely.
Yeah, it's easy to think, you know, after the fact, why did that happen or why would you do that? But in the moment, it can be really hard to avoid.
So here's Emily Matthews. And Matthews with her first goal of the season, making it 2-0 Purdue before halftime.
I expected no one else to take this shot. Emily Matthews is that kind of steady player for Purdue and someone they can rely on. She's been a little bit quiet in terms of goals this season, but she's made her presence known in lots of ways. And nice job here by Emily Matthews. Buries it, and that's a great PK. So Purdue goes up 2-0 heading into half. That train was still going.
Stole my words. A little more velocity this time too. Looked like they got a couple more subs in on it. So choo-choo for Matthews, first goal of the season. Part of the reason that Matthews doesn't have any of her own goals, she's been so busy setting everybody else up. No goals, 5 assists coming in. So she's set up Budish and Dunaway, the other 2 top goal scorers.
Exactly. Yeah, she, like I said, has been far from quiet, just not goals necessarily. But yeah, she has so much talent on both sides with Budish and Dunaway, and so much speed that she's that perfect player to kind of be the quarterback, right? To find those players on the flanks. And she's definitely done that this season. But she's got to feel good getting a goal under her belt for this season as well.
Emily Matthews rarely ever comes off the field. She's played 95% of Purdue's minutes this year. Running 6-7 miles a game, that's not easy.
No doubt. And at that position too, in the center midfield, so impressive. And a lot of teams would tell you they have that player or a couple of those players, just again, that engine who really keeps everything kind of running through the midfield there, and she's that player for Purdue.
Locomotive, maybe?
Yes, I love that analogy.
Fitting the theme of the bench squad. Well, Matthews, great link-up player, allowing her to take the penalty kick, so Purdue going up 2-0. Last time Purdue scored 2 goals was back in the early part of conference, September 22nd against Wisconsin. It was a late goal from Gabby Holler that allowed them to net their second. They were down 5-1 in the 90th minute. And seeking a third, Duarte off target.
Off target there, but Sydney Duarte is a player who can bury that shot, and she's been dangerous from distance in the past for the Boilermakers, so I don't mind that long shot look there from Sydney Duarte.
Well, for Iowa, another goal that they give up, not in the run of play, on the penalty kick. First one was in the run of play. Rare scenario where they have this year. And Iowa's not given up a lot of goals in the run of play. They have not given up a lot of goals early in games either. They had allowed just 4 first-half goals the entire season before tonight, halfway to that mark in the first half.
Yeah, and credit to Purdue for keeping the pressure high. We've talked about it a couple times, but Drew Roth really wanted to focus on offense despite having some defensive struggles, wanted to kind of flip the script starting on the offensive side, and I think they've done that so far this half. They've really pressured up top. They've connected with teammates and made some stuff happen, obviously.
So 45 minutes in the books, and Purdue with Emily Matthews' first goal of the season off a penalty kick. And it was Kayla Budish that started the scoring and got the train rolling on that sideline for Purdue with the 20th minute goal, her third of the year. So Purdue desperate to get points, desperate to get 3 points for the first time since early September. Last time they got 3 points, they scored 2 goals in the first half.
They've got to feel good about that for sure. A team that struggled to find the back of the net really most of this season, to have 2 goals in the first half, they got to now ride this out a little bit and not take the foot off the gas.
State Farm State of Success brought to you by State Farm. So started the second half, and Purdue looking for their first 3-point result in Big Ten play. So is Iowa. Iowa 4 points out of the Big Ten bubble to get into the tournament. Top 8 teams get in. Well, the first 25 minutes, according to Dave Diani, of that first half were quality. Felt like his team stopped playing a little bit as it got later in the half. And playing wide into the front post, and Kimball tested and own goal. Iowa with all those shots in the first half, and it's friendly fire for Purdue that allows Iowa to score.
So credit to Iowa here for creating the chance, right? They serve it in. Kimball makes the first save, but too much bobbling in the box, and that sets Nicole Cavazia up for her failure there. She can't quite make the clear. You never want to be clearing across your own goal, and when you're pinched against the end line like that, it's a difficult clearance to make, and the Boilermakers come out worse for the wear on that. But like I said, credit to Iowa for putting themselves in that situation. They took advantage early in the second half.
You can see the agony for Cavazia. Could not get it cleared. And Iowa has life in the 46th minute. Well, maybe not exactly what Dave Diani had in mind as far as being more dangerous in the box, but they did, like you mentioned, create that chance, serve the ball inside the 6.
They did. If you put yourself in that attacking third and put numbers in the box, sometimes crazy things can happen, and that's a perfect example of it there. And you mentioned the agony on Cavazia's face. I mean, own goal is every soccer player's worst nightmare, but it's going to be important for Purdue here to not get kind of back on their heels a little bit. They were successful in the first half because they did press forward. You know, they created those offensive chances. what they can't do here is get a little bit nervous and fall back on their heels in that defensive stance that Drew Ruff really didn't want to take.
And Iowa playing through Caroline Hallinan on these first couple runs, setting up the 4th fist-bumping corner of the night for the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Officially voting the Iowa Hawkeyes with the best playlist, at least that I've heard yet this season.
Addie Bundy starting the second half. She began this game as a sub, and she's set to swing it in. And it breaks free outside of the box, though. And Sarah Wheaton with the service back in, and Iowa had 2 running back posts, but Hallinan off target with the header. Iowa more than halfway to that season average in shots, creating chances, and on the ball more in this second half. El Otto plays low, but numbers there for Purdue with Kevazia. Holler playing to the corner. This is Budish, who scored in the 20th minute. Budish with the left foot and lofts it off the frame. So a couple chances already for Iowa. An own goal got them within 1, and here was another chance.
Yeah, and if there's a story defensively for Purdue so far, it's going to be not finding heads on these balls because they're missing a lot of opportunity in the air to win balls, and they're coming up short here and there, giving Iowa second chances, and that's going to be dangerous because even though Iowa has struggled to finish this season, they have players who can, and they're right there knocking on the door. So Purdue has to do a better job of winning those balls in the air and finding teammates out of the back.
Dave Diani talking about that danger, wanting some more effort from his team after those final 20 minutes of the first half. And getting a quick burst, making some personnel changes with Bundy in the central midfield since halftime. See how long Bundy can go. Bundy's had some knee issues, and they haven't been able to play her full tilt in a starting role. See if she's fresh enough to go all 45 of the second half.
Yeah, and they're really excited about what Bundy brings to the table, but also don't want to push her too hard and lose her for the rest of the season. So really trying to manage her minutes, like you mentioned.
Bundy won that initial ball for the Hawkeyes. Now she's running. And Hallinan on the ball again, but off the mark. There's Addie Bundy, has started throughout her career for the Hawkeyes. Played big minutes last year, but playing through a little bit of pain and through some gritted teeth this season.
Yeah, and that can be difficult as a player, especially if you're someone who's played a lot of minutes in previous seasons. To come in and have to really be mindful of those minutes can be frustrating. You know you're capable of more, and you know what you bring to this team. Definitely frustrating for her, I'm sure, but excited to see what she'll do in the future as a Hawkeye.
Gabby Holler involved in that first goal, playing flat. And Hallinan working back intercepts for the Hawkeyes. And Bundy taken away. Duarte dispossesses. Duarte doesn't let it through. Her and Abby Roy in that central midfield. Now Purdue building again. Here's Holler meeting Carey. And the whistle out with Holler behind that back line. And she is offside.
Ooh, 2, and it was close. I can see why Holler's kind of confused by the call. It was definitely close, but that was a great job by Purdue. That build up there, just a lot of connected passes, and that's, again, when they've been successful. I think the team that will come out on top tonight is the team in the second half that will pressure in the midfield the most consistently, and the team who plays through their midfield the most and connects those passes.
Like you said, both teams like to play direct with some speed up top. Budish with service and pass those back 2 runners. Morgan Leeds, who started the past couple of games for Iowa, and out for a throw the Hawkeyes direction. Leeds playing on that left side, going back to that word again, risk for Iowa. That's why Leeds has gotten to start the past couple. Maybe not quite as good in support as some of the other players that are positioned defensively, but they like her moving forward. And there she is, ball at her feet. Leeds serving in on one touch. And not cleared yet. Ryberg in a dangerous area.
No service here!
Funneling back through Leeds. Second cross. And Kimball is out. Over the years, it's been about a decade. Drew Roth and Dave Diani have been the head coaches. 1 year separating their rivals in the Big Ten. And since then, 15 of 17 matches decided by 1 goal or less. And of course, it was, I know this is an overused word, but it was an epic last year. 87th minute goal, 90th minute goal, tied at 1-1, headed into overtime, and then Purdue wins in the 98th. And a free kick coming right outside the box. And Ryberg involved in it. And she wins the kick with Duarte in dangerously.
And that's the right call there. Duarte gets a little bit caught behind, goes in for the ball, and gets a little piece of the ball, but also gets him a Ryberg's ankle. So that's the right call, and it sets Iowa up now for a dangerous chance.
Come on. Left.
A 46th minute own goal allowed Iowa to get within 1. Hallinan set up that chance. She's near the ball here. So is Josie Durr. And it's Hallinan that takes the strike. And it's in! Iowa has equalized! Caroline Hallinan nuts it at 2.
We've talked about Hallinan a lot and all of these close chances, and what a finish. That is such a difficult ball as a goalkeeper to defend. It's got some drop, it's got some spin, and Kimball's there, but can't quite get all of it. Gets a piece of it, but can't quite push it wide of the net, and you could see the frustration there for her. Great finish by Hallinan, and it's gotta feel good for her. She's finally got that goal that she's been looking for, and we're all tied up.
First goal in conference play. First goal as a Big Ten player for Caroline Hallinan. Transfer from Northern Michigan, playing Division II for several years. What a moment for her.
So cool to see. And Coach Diani talked about, at first, you know, it was really fast. It's a definite pace change when you come from D2 to Power 5, D1. And the game, he said, has finally slowed down for her a little bit. And we've seen it, right? She's getting a lot of chances. She's getting looks. So for her to finally find the back of the net, such a cool story. And I think she's going to find some more, even in this late half of the season for Iowa.
Her career's winding down. They wish they had her for one more year with the point you're making about the game. Finally slowing down at this speed at the D1 level. But at least 4 matches left, including tonight, for the Northern Michigan transfer.
Oh, I know what you said.
And Ryberg playing into the 18. And Otto laying off. Here's Hallinan again, who just scored. And she earns a corner kick for Iowa.
Yeah, here's that free kick. A couple of runners on, opens Hallinan up, and just puts just enough curve on it to get it past Kimball. Such good finesse.
maybe a story for after this corner kick, but the way that Hallinan ended up at Iowa is pretty fascinating. And the background that she comes from at Michigan, from Heartland, Michigan, playing those 2 years at Northern Michigan University. Here's Bundy, lofted back post, Iowa on it again, but Wheaton above the crossbar.
Ooh, that is a close chance. Purdue's lucky to not come out with another goal given up here. Ball floats perfectly over the 6-yard box and wide open. Wheaton looking for that back post. We talked about Purdue not getting on the ball in the air, and that's just another example. They have to be marked up there, and they have to get on the ball. You can't afford not to. They're lucky to come out unscathed there.
Lauren, it was Hallinan basically creating a screen on Duarte, and Wheaton was left all alone.
Yeah, she's wide open on that back post, and that's the last thing you want.
Well, heavy chances for Iowa. We showed you the stats coming out of halftime. It was even. You could even argue that it was swung more in favor of Iowa as far as the chances in the first half.
Yeah, and it was interesting. We both commented it didn't really feel like that. It felt like Purdue had a lot more of the possession, a lot more of the quality chances, but the stats don't lie. To some extent, Iowa was creating some offense, just not finding the back of the net.
Dave Diani, when he was with us at halftime, definitely not too pleased with the quality of those chances. The quality has increased in the second half, playing level. Here's Dunaway. Top goal scorer for Purdue. Dunaway off the mark.
And this is where Purdue has been dangerous. They find that ball through the midfield through Emily Matthews. Great run by Dunaway. And a good first touch, but still a difficult ball to reel in and just a little bit wide there. Connor, they often talk about 2-0 is one of the most difficult, or maybe dangerous is the right word, most dangerous leads to have because it can feel a little bit too comfortable. And we're seeing that here. Iowa, credit to them, coming out hot and finding almost an immediate goal in the second half and turned it around really quickly. So a perfect example of how a 2-0 lead is not nearly as comfortable as it feels.
And when does the next goal usually come? Right after the first. And yep, we saw that here tonight. I feel like we took goal scoring philosophy and applied every rule to the opening 15 minutes of the second half. 2-0 leads are dangerous. One goal usually leads to two. And Dave Diani was telling his team that this week. Hey, we know that if we get one, two are likely coming. The problem this season has just been getting to one.
Right. I was thinking the same thing. Diani said that directly to us, is we got to get one to get two. And he felt they could do that, and they did here tonight.
Throw for Iowa. A lot of the second half spent down in this part of the field.
It definitely feels like Iowa's the team that's come out with more energy. If you're Purdue, you've got to figure out a way to pick it up a little bit and find some sparks. Otherwise, like we've seen early, Iowa has gotten chances, they've finished chances, and they're making Kaylee Kimball's life difficult so far this second half.
Dave Diani, Big Ten championship coach, to go along with his 3 national championships at Grand Valley State. The outlook of this team, think about what Michigan State has done at the Big Ten this year. Both him and Jeff Hostler, the head coach for Michigan State, came from Grand Valley, where they were both national title contenders every single year. Eventually, their teams are going to look pretty similar. The situation coming into the job was a little bit different.
Definitely, Coach Diani came into probably more of a rebuild in some ways, but impressive what both coaches have done, and pretty cool, the Grand Valley connection.
Over the top and heart-stopping for Purdue after that own goal started this half.
It's time for
another corner kick. DJ, take it away.
definitely bring me back to college, Connor. Can we get a little P. Pablo in here, some M&M maybe?
Got it at halftime. Kimball with ease this time. Petey Pablo, wow.
I mean, that was a college fave. At least for my hype playlist heading into games.
Not with dueling pianos.
I think Petey Pablo is versatile. I think he could really fit in either of those scenarios.
Well, Tommy Trumpet would be the modern day version.
Substitution for the Boilermakers, number 16, Hannah LaPierre.
So LaPierre coming into the midfield, her and Abby Roy rotating a lot at that spot. So it's LaPierre in, the redshirt junior.
I expect we'll see a handful of Purdue subs. Coach Roth often looks to the bench about this time to give some of those starters a little bit of a break, a little bit of a water, refill and get back on the field for the last 10, 15. And they're going to need it today.
Drew Roth in that first half went in for Purdue, saying it wasn't as stagnant as it has been in the past couple of weeks. Loving what they got in the attack. A penalty kick goal from Emily Matthews. Caleb Budish through the run of play. And it's Iowa again down the flank, playing in behind for Ryberg. And Dunaway playing a long ball. And a three back there. Recycled through the midfield, and Dunaway running onto it again. Holler nudged off the ball by Wheaton. And it's a Purdue throw. And Fetty intercepts. Oh, knee to knee for two Purdue players in the midfield. Ouch.
Yeah, that's Olivia Hall taking a minute there.
Substitution for the Hawkeyes, number 32.
That's
Maggie
painful.
Johnson.
Olivia Hall getting the start tonight at right back. Drew Roth going with a different look with his two outside backs. Came together with Blount.
Yeah, and taking a knee anywhere hurts, but especially in your own knee. That's painful. Hopefully she'll be able to walk that off, but taking a little bit of time with the athletic trainer.
Kristen Lucan, the athletic trainer for Purdue, out to see Olivia Hall. Hall finds herself in physical situations a lot. Drew Roth applauding her courageous style of play and how physical she is. Getting a start as a freshman tonight.
Good to see her walking off under her own power. I expect we'll see her back.
With Hall going off, a reminder tomorrow it's a marquee volleyball matchup when the Nittany Lions take on the Huskers. Coverage begins tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern. Powered by Unleaded 88 on Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. Hope you can join Larry Putney, Audrey Flaw for that. Huge one of the Big Ten. Toward the middle of the Big Ten volleyball race in week 4. 2 weeks left to go before the Big Ten tournament. And women's soccer semifinals and final to be in Columbus at the home of the Columbus Crew. Olivia Hall just went off for Purdue.
Boilermakers, number 21, Lauren Holleran.
And Lauren Holleran coming in as a sub tonight. She started at right back for a lot of the season for the Boilermakers. And it's the senior replacing the freshman Hall. Out for the Iowa throw, one by Sam Carey. Now, losing Olivia Hall, the big difference that Drew Roth pointed out is Holleran can get forward a little bit more. So something to look forward from that right back spot. Carrico in pursuit, and she gets it out. Olivia Hall, maybe a little bit better of a 1v1 defender than Holleran, but Drew Roth has seen Holleran push up the field a lot this year. Here, Kaylee Kimball saying, let's go.
Yeah, and I love the vocal leadership from the freshman. That can be challenging when you step into that role as a freshman. It's asking a lot in a lot of ways, including being that vocal presence. So I've really seen that come on more and more in Kaylee Kimball, the freshman for Purdue, and they want that. They need that behind that young D-line.
Well, that was the last time that Iowa overcame 2-0. It was against Purdue, coincidentally. It was before the Roth-Diani battles began. Drew Roth at that point was at Illinois State winning Missouri Valley championships. Diani was in the GLIAC at Division II, winning national championships at Grand Valley. 2 great adds to the Big Ten. And Iowa trying to turn it around. Of course, the score catches your eye. Down 2-0 against Purdue in 2010, and they won 3-2. Purdue is trying to make up for a couple let-ups in this second half. Gabby Holler from distance there.
Yeah, and so far Iowa has been the clear leader in terms of offensive chances in this second half. Purdue has had a couple, but really their best chances have come from what we saw them do in the first half, which is build through the midfield, find their flank players out wide, and build from that. And we have not seen nearly as much of that this second half.
Trying to build through the back. Got it to the feet of Duarte. Budish can't keep it in along that touch line. And here comes the dangerous Ryberg taking on space. Now taking on defenders, getting a shot. And Kimball makes the save.
Nice save there by Kimball, especially to hold on to that ball. What a scary sight if you're a defender or a goalkeeper seeing Rydberg come down with that ball. She carries it at such pace and can get a great strike on the ball. But in this case, Kimball reels it in.
Tough ask for a freshman center back. Sabrina Blount running with Ryberg. Has been doing it for a long time in this league.
Yeah, and we haven't talked as much about Blount this game, but someone that Drew Roth is really excited about her future. A true freshman playing at center back. It's impressive. They lost their other true freshman center back, Riley Knudsen, a few games ago to an ankle injury, but Drew Roth is really excited about what those two will bring to his back line over the next few years.
Here's Hallinan. Hallinan had the goal, and strong tackle from Kevazia. And Iowa keeps it in the attacking third. Ryberg, space, and lofts it long and high. As much as Iowa is missing up front, Purdue has Kimball, a true freshman in there, who has 7 saves tonight, more than double of her season average. But as much as Iowa has out-injured up front, Purdue has just as much missing in the back. Skylar Patrick, who they expected at left back. All Big Ten type player at the left back, hasn't played this year. And you got Knudsen, the freshman, who could have been all Big Ten freshman, out. And Sarah Kyle could have been an all Big Ten goalkeeper.
Definitely. I mean, both of these teams have struggled big time with injuries. And like we talked about, it's so difficult. You expect some injuries, of course, but to have to look to your bench, especially so early in the season, it's challenging. And both of these teams have felt that this season.
Snake bitten was the word that Dave Diani used to describe both him and their opponent. Iowa didn't get anybody back from their loss against Minnesota as far as injuries. Going with the same look tonight. Of course, Purdue making the changes at outside back. But then Olivia Hall went out with injury middle of the second.
And a few more of those subs back in for Purdue, including Zoe Allen, who we've not seen yet this game, but saw quite a bit of time early for the Boilermakers.
Carey stepping forward, laying off. It's Otto at a tough angle, and Kevazia cuts it out of there.
In for the Hawkeyes, number 31, Addie Bundy.
Hey, give us some options in the back.
And this is a great run by Carrie, dumps it off there to Otto, but Kevazia has a nice tackle. She's had a couple big tackles after what was obviously a crushing own goal. Nice job by her to recover and stay composed. It can be difficult after you have a kind of defensive mistake like she did.
Duarte plays through the sliding challenge. Matthews composed through the midfield for Purdue. And Wheaton off of Splittorf and earns the Iowa throw-in.
In for the Hawkeyes, number 11, Kellen Fife.
Naomi Splittorf scored her first goal in dramatic fashion. First half, just before halftime against USC with that huge crowd. At Folk Field, the Fanatics were all out.
It was a beauty of a goal from Splittorf. Quite the way to open up your freshman season. You're not going to find probably a better atmosphere or a prettier goal to kick off your freshman season with.
Some of that work as an early enrollee paid off for her. Came in January of 22. She's from Evansville, so making the trek upstate to West Lafayette.
Yeah, more and more common for freshmen to come early and start to get that training in the spring season, get in the weight room with the strength and conditioning coach. And definitely paid off for Splittorf and I'm sure many others over the last couple seasons.
Ryberg, goal kick. Ryberg, described by Dave Diani, is a little bit off in their game against Minnesota. Didn't get too specific, but he said that she had some iron issues.
As a dietitian, I'm going to assume that meant maybe a little bit of low iron going on, maybe some fatigue, and certainly that is common in a sport like women's soccer.
But not like it's you just take your vitamin in the morning and you're good to go.
Right. It's not necessarily an immediate fix or a quick fix, but possible she started the iron protocol and tried to deal with that fatigue that way.
I swear it says it right there on the Flintstones vitamin bottle. Take in the morning.
Solves all your problems.
It says that too. But Rydberg's been back in there tonight playing with pace. Playing to a 2-2 draw so far. First two for Purdue in the first half for Matthews and Budish. Own goal in the 46th minute. And Hallinan with her first Big Ten goal, her third goal overall in the season. Leveled us away at 2. Remember, 1 point at this point isn't going to do much for you as far as the Big Ten race. Three matches to go after tonight. Both teams almost needing 3. And a booking on Iowa with Kevazia down.
It's definitely been a physical game. We would expect nothing less. Couple yellow cards. In this case, a little bit of a late play. Doesn't get the ball. That's the right call.
It was Kellen Fife who came in as a substitute. But 1 point's not going to do you much because you've only got 3 left after tonight. Iowa needs to make up 4 points. It's 6 points that Purdue needs to make up. And Splittorf likely going to be booked for that. And here comes the yellow for Naomi Splittorf.
Yeah, and that's an easy call too from behind. And that's probably a little bit of a frustration play there from the freshman Splittorf. Yeah, just no ball there and just kind of gets the shove. So like we said, easy call there and good on the ref for throwing out a couple of these yellows and trying to keep the game in check. Because while you want a physical game, sure, you don't want it to get out of control. And when there's so much on the line and tie game as the clock's ticking down, it can be easy for that game to get a little bit too physical. And the yellows help keep that in check a little bit.
Well, you wonder the awareness for both head coaches, too, knowing how big 3 points would be, and not that 1 point would be totally inconsequential. You wonder how much we're going to see that risk-taking that both wanted from their teams, see that come to life and really go for it these final 16 minutes.
I imagine we will see some risk-taking and keep that pressure high, look for that really direct style of play that we've seen from both teams. Because you're right, early in the season, you know, 1 point's not so bad. You're happy to come out with at least something. But at this point in the season, you need more.
Splittorf made the turn. Fetty turned her away. Right into the lap of the Hawkeyes, and they clear it. Nobody down there, though, and Kimball off of her line. Well, this half, it's certainly felt this way, Lauren. Talked about the stats belying the first half a little bit, with Purdue having more quality chances, but Iowa this half 10-3 in shots over Purdue.
Yeah, and that feels like what we've watched in this case. Definitely Iowa has been the better team in this half. They've had more chances, more quality chances. And on the flip side of that, from Purdue's perspective, I feel that we've seen them go away from what worked in the first half. And if you're Coach Roth looking on, that has to be frustrating because he felt really good about how they pulled off their offensive scheme, if you will, in the first half. And we've seen a lot more kind of direct balls up the middle. They're not using those flank players in the same way. And that's what made them successful. So it'll be interesting in these final 15 or so minutes what both teams do. But you're right, I expect we'll see some risk taking.
Allen nearly got in behind there, but Sam Carey kept her out. Easy work for Holleran, who came in after the injury to Hall, but she gives it away. Can't link up with Allen working back. Ryberg knew the fate of that. That was either offside or out for a throw. And Iowa will try to keep Purdue hemmed in there.
We've talked about it a little bit, but the importance for Purdue to find feet out of the back, and that's something that they've really struggled with all season long, and part of why in my opinion at least, we've seen so many different formations, different players in that back line for Purdue, trying to figure out what works, because you can't afford to give up some of those chances in your attacking third, and that's what happens when you don't find your teammates' feet out of the back line there, especially in these last now 14 minutes. Chances are going to be fewer and fewer, far between. So we can't afford to see that on either team's side. Got to take advantage of your possessions.
Here's Zoe Allen with one of the Big Ten's best, defending her 1v1. She lays off for Holleran. Not a menacing chance there for Purdue. To your point about the experimentation for Purdue, you've seen Forrest Gump, right?
I have.
Okay, so you know the scene with Bubba where he's naming off all the shrimp, the types of shrimp. I was given flashbacks to that when Drew Roth was telling us about all the different formations and tactics that they've tried this year. We tried 4-4-3. We've tried 3 in the back for one game. We've tried playing direct. We've tried playing indirect, and the list went on and on and on. It's just a laundry list of things that they've tried through some of the injuries in the back and trying to get that 3-point result.
Yeah, and the injuries, again, we've talked about it, but it does make you feel like, well, we got to mix it up a little bit. What can we do with this now new squad that we have, you know, and new players in new positions, and they really have struggled to kind of find what clicks for them this season.
Kimball making the call. Dave Diani for Iowa, he acknowledged that too. He said, you know, Purdue lost, you know, arguably the best goalkeeper in the league, Marissa Bova, who's gone on to play pro. And then one of the best goal scorers in the history of the Big Ten, and Sarah Griffith. So it was hard enough for Purdue to reload this year. And then you couple that with the injuries that they've had, and it's led to that mix and match outside of their typical 4-3-3 formation.
Yeah, a really young team, an unexpectedly slim team with some of those injuries, and then, right, you can't replace Sarah Griffith and Marissa Bova just off the cuff. A couple of the best players in the league last year. So you're right, Drew Roth knew it was going to be a challenge in that kind of rebuilding year, but injuries only add to that challenge.
comparisons have been made to this team and the 2018 Purdue team that had that talented senior class that graduated this past year. Purdue's program, after second-round NCAA tournament run, feel that the program's a little bit further ahead than that point. It won't be quite as long of a rebuild.
Yeah, and definitely excited about the youth that is coming up through this team. Coach Roth talked about not only Kimball in goal, but Budish and Splittorf up top, Brooke Harala, who we've not seen much of the last couple of games, but has seen some time this season. And then, of course, you know, Dunaway, Matthews, only sophomores.
Budish with her third goal tonight. Drew Roth calling her his favorite forward in the country. Some bias there, of course. But highly recruited, a top 50 player in the region. One of the best forwards in the country coming to West Lafayette. Had a sparkler of a goal in the 20th minute. The first of the 4 we've seen so far. Not many chances second half. Nothing quality comes out of that first send in. Into the 80th minute, 2 early second half goals for Iowa got it level. Playing behind 2-0, going into the locker room. One of the changes they made is the player on the ball. Addie Bundy started, went out, and has come back in as a substitute. There's Bundy. And splitting the space with a challenge from Holleran, and out for the goal kick. So first it was the own goal, then it was a great one from Carolina Hallinan.
Yeah, and you never want to give up an own goal, but Purdue can't clear it there. Credit to Iowa for putting themselves in the box and making Purdue's life difficult there. And then they turn right around not too long afterwards, just 10 or so minutes later, and Hallinan just hammers it in the far corner there. Kimball can't quite get her hands on it, and that is such a good free kick taken by Hallinan.
Look at that.
You gotta like that stat if you're Coach Diani.
It's a defensive stat, right? Attack gets you 2. Iowa doesn't lose. So that's since 2018, right when the Iowa program started to turn. They've been to 3 of the last 4 Big Ten tournaments, including their championship in the spring of 21. We've got Dave Diani a contract extension through 2026. Well deserved for the head coach of the Hawkeyes. Should be out for a Purdue throw. Hallinan scoring that. Started to tell you a little bit earlier. She comes from a pocket in Michigan that has a lot of Finnish families and huge families. She has a bunch of cousins in that area. Free kicks coming. And Hallinan has been dangerous in this spot. But she has 3 cousins who have played sports up in Michigan, but she wanted something different, getting out of that pocket of all of her cousins and all of her relatives coming here to Iowa. She's been huge in the second half. Sam Carey, a natural left-footed player. He's got 7 players right at the 18 for the Hawkeyes. Do they have a third in them? And set it out, Purdue clears the first chance. Fetty serves back in, and Hallinan running onto it. And that's out for another restart. It'll be a corner for the Hawkeyes.
And the last corner kick Iowa took was dangerous. Wheaton on that back post, so see if Purdue can mark up a little bit better and if Iowa can capitalize here.
There's Bundy, lofted to the 6. It's Purdue with the first head on it. And Leeds has to play negative. And Ryberg onside, waited for it. But Purdue clears it out for the throw-in. Olivia Hall, good to see her back in there. She went out knee-to-knee collision. Holleran came in. And Dunaway carrying it out of the defensive third for Purdue.
As a reminder for those watching, we will not go into overtime if this ends 2-2. That's a new rule change this year. That if you talk to both of these coaches, you'd get a differing opinion on whether they like that new rule or not. Coach Roth thinks it's great, saves the legs, less minutes in the legs over the course of a season. Coach Gianni, they've had 5 ties this season already. He would have liked some of those back. He personally would like to play out the overtime minutes and felt like their team was getting better in the final minutes of some of those games that they came out with a draw.
Which in the recent rivalry here in the Big Ten with Purdue and Iowa is a little bit too bad that there's no overtime. With how last year's game went, 0-0 until the 87th minute, and then 3 goals in an 11-minute span, with Purdue winning in the 98th on a Tegan Jones game winner. Here's Budish and Enna King. Hasn't been tested too much, but Iowa scored in the 87th minute last year. Sarah Griffith equalized with 18 seconds left. So it's overtime. And it was Jones in the 98th minute winning it for Purdue 2-1.
Doesn't get much crazier than that.
We can stuff 3 goals into the final 5 minutes here, right? There's Matthews, already has 1 tonight. A little bit late arriving for Dunaway. Dunaway with the re-entry. It's Fetty working back onto the goal line. Free kick, Iowa.
And I imagine if you ask both coaches now, they might both want that overtime when a win is so crucial to how the rest of the season will play out.
Handshake agreement after the 90th. Let's play on. Yeah, again, 1 point won't do you much. Iowa 4 points out of the top 8. Top 8 teams get into the Big Ten tournament. 3 games to go after tonight. Nebraska, Northwestern, and Penn State waiting for Iowa. Indiana, Minnesota, and Maryland, the final 3 for Purdue. And that'll be an Iowa throw off of Dunaway.
Substitution for the Hawkeyes, number 18, Emma Kozicki.
Kozicki came in the first half. She enters in the 86th. The lead's going out.
Hey, Kozicki line. Kozicki line. Kozicki line.
A freshman from Cedar Rapids. Kozicki looking for her first goal.
See ya. No service. No service.
Hallinan takes on Carrico. Carrico recovers. And got to be careful down there if you're Carrico, and it's out for a corner. Nearly turned back into a dangerous spot.
Yeah, and that was such good one-on-one defense from Carrico down the line. She recovers here, uses her body, and just wins that ball back. Then she needs to clear the ball. Don't love the pull back there and kind of puts herself back in danger. Just take the easy clear there and at least get your team out of this situation now of a corner kick.
Bundy plays lower this time. Holler with the head on it. And Holler directs it out. Budish up ahead for Purdue. Played back in toward the corner. And service with a runner on. And Kimball there to receive the header from Otto. And Holler has Fetty over her back, so restart for Purdue.
And there's that ball in. Good header there, but Kimball's ready on that near post. Nice job by her.
Off the restart, Duarte sent it over the crossbar for Purdue, putting it on frame or near frame. A pretty casual second half so far for Enna King. So final 2 minutes, as you reminded us, no overtime. 1 point the result if this scoreline holds. But another strike for Hallinan, this off the crossbar.
Oh,
almost had a second off of her left foot. Whoa.
I was just going to say, my heart is racing. Kaylee Kimball's has to be.
Oh, right in front of her, Kevazia volleys it out. It looked like an easy scoop from Kimball. And Iowa keeps it down here. So let's see if that urgency of needing 3 points comes up here in the final minute. Getting late in the Big Ten tournament picture. Now Purdue trying to counter, but that touch from Matthews is taken away by Fetty. Into the 90th minute. The first 2 goals to Purdue, the second 2 to Iowa in the second half. Kevazia stepping. And Bundy in hard on Dunaway and gets it out to Hallinan. And Carrico right back with composed footwork. Here's Matthews, who had the penalty kick goal in the 41st minute. Surrounded by Hawkeyes. Duarte along the flank. Into the final 20 seconds. Duarte with service in. Holler is there, but Enneking sliding to get it. Could that be the last chance for Purdue?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6.
Here's Otto. Final 5 seconds, cutting it back in. Got to get a shot off. And it trickles over the end line, and we end in a draw.
Score, Purdue 2, Iowa 2.
So 1 point aside. Purdue with a gorgeous goal in the first half to go ahead, added on with the penalty kick, and 2 early Iowa second half goals to end this game in a draw.
And Hallinan, Coach Gianni said she leads the country probably in goals that could have, should have been, and another one there. Ooh, my heart was racing on that goal. So close, and it's a nice strike from Hallinan there. She's gonna want that back, but nice job by Purdue to fend that last burst off by Iowa. And both teams will take home 1 point. Not what they wanted, unfortunately.
So Iowa to 0-3-4 in the Big Ten. Purdue gets their second point, now 0-5-2. Now 3 matches to go. And perfection is just about expected if you're going to get into the Big Ten tournament now.
Definitely. Both teams would likely have to win out to get in the tournament. They wanted that win here tonight. And we really saw kind of a tale of 2 halves. Purdue was the better team in the first half, created chances, finished 2 of them, flipped the script, and Iowa was the better team in the second half, who put away 2 chances.
What do you get with that? Purdue better in the first half, Iowa better in the second half. You get a draw, 2-2. Our score from Iowa City for Lauren Link, Connor Onion, our entire